with our next session focusing on Drupal's layout builder. This module is powerful and an intuitive tool for content editors and site builders, but there's always room for improvement. So in this session, we'll explore the future of the layout builder. And our speakers, Teresa, our Drupal trainer and senior Drupal developer, and Suzanne Dergasheva will present this to you now.
Great. So I'm going to start off talking a bit about what the layout builder is and what are some of the problems with it. And then Doris is going to take us into a really fun demo and show you our vision for the future. So as all of you know who have used Drupal, one of its core strengths is really structured content. Like we all use content types, we use taxonomy, we use fields when we're building Drupal sites, and we kind of take these things for granted, but having structured content is really what allows us to build interesting things in Drupal, like advanced search or like an interactive map, or be able to have content that we put in an API because it's all structured so we can identify it and know what it is. So this is really one of Drupal's superpowers. But at the same time, if you talk to content authors, are there content authors in the room? I think there might be some here. Yeah. Content authors are often looking for something more flexible than just structured content. Like you want more than just being able to create content from templates. You kind of want to build your own pages, design your own templates, create more flexible drag and drop landing pages. And so what the layout builder module does, and this was introduced back in Drupal 8, is that it tries to give you both. So it gives you this tool for creating landing pages where you do have these structured pieces of content, but you as the content author can kind of decide how you want to mix and match those components. You can build the layout of your page as well as add the content. And as a site builder, it allows you to do this as well at the level of content types. And so that brings us to Layout Builder as it works now. So who here has never seen Layout Builder before in the back end? If you kind of go and install Layout Builder and just test it out, you're going to get an interface that looks something like this. And it gives us tons of flexibility. So like lots of things in Drupal, you say, oh, I want to install this module. And then you get a million checkboxes because it works in a way that like it's super flexible and you can decide how it should work. So if you see here under user field, there's just so many options because Layout Builder is not hiding any of those options from you in terms of the structured content that's available. And so that flexibility is great, but it's also a problem, right? Because if you give an interface like this to a content author, they're going to be maybe a bit overwhelmed, or they're not going to know how to create a really consistent looking page. And you're going to end up with too much flexibility, too many options, too much variety. So when our team kind of started looking at this, we really wanted to use Layout Builder because it's so powerful. It's a fun new thing. We kind of ran into some of these issues, these user experience problems. And some of them are just the number of options available, the fact that when you are working in the Layout Builder, when you create a layout, it creates this separate layout tab on your content. So you have an edit tab and a layout tab, and it's always unclear, which one am I supposed to go to? So the whole workflow around creating content is a little bit confusing. And then the language of the interface is also really oriented to more of a advanced site builder or a developer audience. Like you see these links like configure instead of something more friendly like edit. There's little things like this that can make the Layout Builder really a challenge to adapt. So if you tried using it at your organization, you might realize like, oh, people are finding this kind of overwhelming, like so many clicks to create a page. So I'm going to pass it off to Teresa, and she's going to talk about how we are looking at solving some of those problems.
Yeah, hi. So yeah, as Susan was mentioning, we started to discover a lot of pain points that we have and that our clients and content editors were facing. So we had to come up with some solutions for it. In multiple of those pain points, we saw different opportunities, including these things that you can see in the screen. Based on the previous screenshot or GIF, maybe you saw that there is like a very big sidebar in some places that sometimes is not very nice for the users. It also moves the whole content when you're trying to edit, so it's a little bit difficult to handle. So we started to do some changes on it, and then we have this new vision for the next generation layout builder. And this started with one of the sites that we were building. So let me show you. I don't see well, so give me one sec. Yeah, great. So this is one of the sites we have built. And what we are doing here is we added a lot of different things to a layout builder to make it something actually useful and friendly for the content editors as well. So you can see here, I'm going to try to create a new content. In my case, I will create, if the internet allows it, a landing page. And then normal stuff with layout builder and creating notes in Drupal. First thing we have to do is just create the element, add that name for it. So as a content editor, I want to create my node. I'm going to add there the title of it. In this case, I'm going to publish it immediately so that we can see it there, and I'm going to save it. In this case, it is just asking me if I want to, so I will just say yes. And what is going on now is it's going to take me to the default page, the node just created. In this case, we added certain stuff to make it possible to have this banner automatically, the breadcrumbs as well, and the menu in the sidebar. Though, as a content editor, I want to start adding my blocks and my components in different pages. I want to be able to define what is going to be the layout of the page. And I can go for it here directly in the layout tab. This part is normal layout builder stuff. And here comes the interesting things, the user experience improvements. Let's see it. As you can see here, it is still the layout builder. We still have the sections, we still have the logs, we still have all of that. But we added certain modules that allows us to change, for example, things like the sidebar. And instead of having a sidebar, we are now showing everything with modals. So if I wanted to add certain content here, you can see I do have my blocks, the one for the header, the one for this breadcrumb section, and then the main content. And I can start adding all of the elements in the corresponding section. If I come here to add block, you can see how the thing has changed now. What happens? No longer a sidebar. Now we have a modal. And some of the main issues we had before was the users had issues knowing what they wanted to add, knowing what they were committing to when they were adding a particular block. So we configured and added certain modules like layout builder restrictions and layout builder browser that allows us to change some of that behavior. So layout builder browser allows us to have this browser in the page and assign icons for each of the different block types that we will have in the site, or all the different components, let's say. So if I want to search for them, I can, but you can also see that I have categories for all of them. So it is going to be easier for the user to actually decide what they will put in the site. So for example, I have here the default one. I have some other categories, for example, things for the sidebars, fields, and so on. In my case, I'm going to try to add image CTA cards. And I have all my fields in a bigger space where I can actually add my content. I will add some media here. Insert it. added my pre-title. Title here. I'm gonna add some link there.
It's hard to type and hold the mic at the same time. I think what's interesting here, especially, is that by changing this interface, we're probably going to change what kind of content authors actually end up creating, because we're facilitating different kinds of content being added. Like there might be certain types of components that you can add, types of blocks you can add that are hard to find. But by creating a better interface for searching for them, then it's going to allow content authors to more easily discover the variety of content available.
Exactly. And now, not only that, but also we're limiting the options that they have. So now they don't have options that are showing up there if they don't really need them. We don't need to have all of the fields for all of the content types in there, so we can limit that kind of stuff. The limiting of what are the fields and the blocks that are displayed is done by a module called layout builder restrictions. So it allows you to limit what are the things that you will have, but also what are the components that are going to be available on each different type of section as well. So we give a lot more, we're still giving all the flexibility, but now with the options that they need. So it is going to be easier to work with that. In this case, you can see when I saved it, well, we also allowed having like nested components and so on. So I don't know if you noticed, but there was a little table with all the elements that I had in my image cards component there. And if I scroll down here, I can see it. I can see it there in the right place, and I can see it working. I can come back to the top and save this and get to see my element, my page. And you will see that the element is already there. A lot, like super easily. We just needed to select the element that we wanted, and that was it. Now, this is part of like the improvements we want to make. There are some other improvements because, again, there are a lot of pain points and a lot of opportunities to make this better. So, how to achieve something like what you have just seen? First, we are talking about improving the user experience of the layout builder in general. There are already certain initiatives in core to make that better and to actually have an actual page building experience that is useful and easy for users. There's already investigation going on in that matter. And we're also thinking about improving this by making two things. First, developer experience, and then second, the user experience as such. So what is the plan here? And here at Rolling Web, we're working on this as well. The idea is to work with the core and the core initiative and the community to actually improve the layout builder in core, to have this new page experience, page building experience. There are certain wireframes that were already built based on the research that has been led by Lori from the core team. So the idea is to actually implement that kind of wireframe, and facilitate the creation of content for the final content editors and users in general. But apart from that, and this can take a lot of time, we want to make something else that will improve the process for the people that is using Layout Builder now. Because currently we have to add a lot of patches, we have to add extra modules, configure all of this stuff to actually get to a nice place for the Layout Builder, for the content editors. So we are planning to create this, to use Drupal recipes. Somebody here has heard about Drupal recipes before? No? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, well, the Drupal recipes are, it is a new initiative in Drupal core, and it basically allows us to have like pre-packaged configuration that you are going to deliver with a particular purpose. So the idea of that is you can apply your recipe in your site and forget about it, and you have all the configuration that you need on it. So there is already some steps into making this possible. There are already certain recipes out there. We're already using certain recipes we have developed for internal, for our use in our projects. And the plan is to create a recipe also for making Layout Builder easy to use, out of the box. So this Drupal recipe that we're going to be creating for Layout Builder will be including basic configuration of Layout Builder, also certain contributed modules that already exist that we're using to improve the user experience, as you saw in the previous demo. And this is going to work more like an intermediate, an immediate solution instead of having to wait so much time to actually get the new generation of the Layout Builder that is expected to get to core. So with all of this in mind, what are some of the what are some of the modules that we're trying to work with? I mentioned already some of them before, but we have Layout Builder Browser, which is the one that allows us to have the elements with some icons, with some categories, all that kind of stuff. We also have Layout Builder Restrictions, which I mentioned as well before. Basically, it allows us to limit what are the blocks that are going to be available for the users, and also in what regions or what sections they are going to be available. We have another module, which is actually really small, but it is super useful, and it is Layout Builder Save and Edit. I don't know if you noticed, but when I was doing the demo, I had to scroll all the way up to click on the Save button again, and then it took me to a page, and then if I wanted to keep editing, I had to come back. And for content editors, that's not great because sometimes they don't trust that the thing is getting saved, so they want to save and keep editing. So this module allows us to do that. We also have another nice module called Layout Builder Instant Preview. And this one allows us to see a preview automatically of the things that we are editing. So as soon as you add a block to your Layout Builder, it is going to be shown directly in the corresponding region. And then as soon as you're editing, you will see the changes live. So you can see how your components behave on the fly. The next one is the Layout Builder Operation link. This is also super useful because, as Susan mentioned before, there's an issue because you have to go click on edit to edit the node. And the content editor might think that means editing the Layout Builder section. And they have to go and click on layout to actually do it. So it is a little bit confusing. With the module Layout Builder Operation link, what we're doing is we're providing an extra operation link in the content page. So you can see it here. If I take you to content, for example, I'm gonna filter here by landing pages so you can see it. Those are the ones that I have configured with Layout Builder. So you can see here in the operations section that now we have the layout as well. Before we didn't really have it. So even though we still need to have this operation of edit and layout, at least for now, being able to access it from here instead of having to go to a node and then clicking on the button is already an improvement for the users. So that is that other module. And also another option to improving this is going to be the use of Gene and Gene Layout Builder. Gene is a theme that is working right now as the sandbox for improvements to core. So using Gene is one of the options we have here. It will improve a lot how we see the Layout Builder, how we interact with it. And Gene Layout Builder specifically allows us to change how the Layout Builder works. So it is a little bit of different behaviors. The plan is to have in the recipes all of these and also some patches that will help improve certain other things that we need to work with. Based on the research that has been happening on core, there are certain other problems that Layout Builder have. They are in the pipeline still. So we still don't have like a specific module that fixes it, but ideally we will be working towards fixing those. It is part of the future of the Layout Builder. And if you are interested in all of this and you want to participate, you can get involved. Go to drupal.org/join/Slack. Join the Slack channel there, and it is called #layouts. So go there, join, start participating, get involved in the conversation. There's also this issue in the issue queue, and it is a meta ticket for the whole initiative. So we hope you can join. We hope you like it. And yes, thank you so much.